Yo, what's going on, guys? So in my last video I was doing a boss rushing strategy where I was making pretty much around 14x per hour by just killing map bosses and dropping guardian maps. And a lot of people have been saying in the comments that the one issue with this strategy is being able to sell all of the maps. And I can agree with that. Somehow right now market is pretty saturated and it seems like it is pretty hard to sell the guardian maps. That being said, I actually was able to sell some of them, but obviously there is the other option you can go for if you can't sell them, which is just run this map yourselves. So this is what today test is gonna be about. How much money can you make from running the Conqueror maps, Elder maps and Shaper maps with the Guardians and doing invitations with them. Obviously the biggest difference is boss rushing you can do on a pretty cheap character, I would say. Only thing you need is decent single target and some movement speed. And for this strategy, if you're gonna do invitations with a lot of quantity and stuff, you're gonna need insane character with a lot of DPS. But obviously you can still do it on a weaker character, but it's just gonna take a bit more time to complete them. Okay, so like I said, today I'm gonna talk about 3 different types of invitations, so 3 different types of maps. Let me actually pick up the invitations from the test so I can show you the example. So I already did 3, actually even 4 in formed invitation, but I did 3 in the other ones bosses. So as an example, I'm gonna do today 1 map per set, and I'm also gonna do the invitation so you can see how I was doing them. In terms of the differences in the type of guardian map, the biggest difference is that Shaper, for example, you can roll with Horizon. So if you are missing certain guardian maps, you can just Horizon into them. But bad thing about them is that all of the guardian maps are pretty long, so they have a pretty long layout, so you it's gonna take a decent amount of time to run on to the boss. But the nice thing about them is that bosses are pretty easy to kill compared to, I mean not easy, are much faster to kill compared to the Elder, because Elder has additional phases, so and you have to wait for the intermission, so it takes much longer time to kill the bosses in terms of the Elder ones. So yeah, Shaper, long maps but fast boss kills. Elder is pretty much opposite. What you can do with Elder is you can Horizon Orb the base map. So for example, if this one is tier 16, and by the way I was going for tier 14, 15, 16, it doesn't really matter which tier, you can Horizon Orb them into the smallest maps possible. So for example, for tier 16s I was going for the Lava Lake. And one nice thing about the Elder is that the boss is always gonna be dead, so you don't have to kill the map boss, you just have to kill the Elder Guardian. So in terms of Lava Lake is pretty small map, but the boss is annoying, which is the Kitava, but Kitava is gonna be dead, so you don't care about it. So yeah, so you can roll into Lava Lake. But if you're gonna do Elder maps, again, the Guardian takes a long time to kill. And Conqueror is kinda actually best of both worlds, which means that you can also Horizon Orb them into a decent layout. So for example, I'm Horizon Orbing into a beach, but you don't have to wait for the intermissions when you're killing the bosses. The Guardians, the Elder Slayers, are actually pretty easy to kill. At least they don't have any phases, so that's a nice thing about them. The bad thing is that, for example, the Fields map, which is also tier 14, I was running Elders with Fields because Fields is pretty small, but the boss actually has 2 phases, so it takes a long time to kill him. But for the Elder it doesn't matter because he's gonna be dead anyway. For Conquerors I would have to reroll it and go for the beach. Obviously for Shaper, Chimera is still pretty annoying, but at least with my build, intermissions weren't as bad because I could just shoot my tornado shot in the middle and the monsters during the intermission would die anyway. In terms of rolling the maps for the quantity doesn't really matter. You can run them wide if you feel like it. The only nice thing about quantity is that you're gonna drop more Shaper, Elder, and Conqueror influence items, and you can actually use these items to do the Exalted Shot recipe, which is basically Chaos recipe, but you need full set of Shaper or Elder or Conqueror, specific one Conqueror items, and in return, if you're gonna sell them to a vendor unidentified, you're gonna get 4 Exalted Shots. So yeah, that's some nice additional profit if you're gonna run them rare. In terms of the Atlas tree, this is the Atlas tree I went for. Obviously, all of the Shaper Guardian maps, Elder Guardian maps, additional Guardian when you're gonna be killing them. So when you're gonna be doing Shaper or Elder invitations and maps, you're gonna get more fragments than when you're gonna be doing the Conqueror, because again, this one is gonna give you additional Guardian per map for additional chance for fragments. But when you're gonna be running the Conqueror maps, you're gonna be dropping also the Exalted Orbs, so that's additional profit. And also, by the way, the Conqueror they are dropping additional cards, so like Cortex cards and Synthesis map cards. So yeah, they also give some nice additional profit. But the bad thing about them is also the fact that you have 4 different types of influences, so doing the Exalted Shot recipe is a bit annoying. In terms of the invitations, I was rolling them for at least 73 quantity. So let me roll them a few times. I actually don't have that many scours, so let's just roll them with Chaos Orbs. And the reason why I was going for at least 73 is because with 73% quantity, you are guaranteed to drop the 9 Maven Splinters. So 72, 71, sometimes you will drop 8. So yeah, this way you are guaranteeing at least 9 of them, if you are also running the Height of Hubris and obviously all of the invitation stuff. So this way, obviously they are gonna be extremely hard with so many mods and so on, and additional effect and additional passives in here, but yeah, this way you're gonna get the most amount of loot from them. In terms of other passives, I just went for some additional effect and quantity so I can get more influence items from the normal maps. You don't really have to go for them, it's only about the influence items. And I also went for the essences. And when I actually was doing Shaper and Elder Guardian maps, I also went for the Strongbox. But when I swapped to the Conqueror, I took these additional points and I removed the additional Strongbox. So from Shaper and Elder, I was also getting some additional scarabs from the operative Strongboxes. And basically how I was running them, I guess I can show you during the example. Let's start with the Shaper one. So I was just running them as fast as possible, but if I encountered the Essence or the Strongbox, operative Strongbox on my way, I would also do them. So yeah, for my movement speed, I am just weapon swapping for the Lipstone to just be able to do them faster. So like I mentioned, Shaper maps are a bit annoying because they have pretty long layouts, but boss, as you can see here, is very fast to kill. There's no intermission phases. If your build doesn't have that great of a... I should have corrupted it, by the way, but whatever. If your build doesn't have that much DPS, obviously you don't care as much about the Elder phases. Shaper is gonna take also pretty long time to kill Shaper Guardian maps. But yeah, with insane DPS, you definitely are gonna do the Elder maps longer. These are just wailing, so as you can see here, this map is Lava Lake, which normally is pretty annoying to do. But now as you can see, Kitava is just dead, so I don't have to kill her. But yeah, now I just have to wait, which is very annoying. Which is also partially why I actually personally, if I did this strategy for a longer amount of time, I would not go for the Elder ones, because technically Elder fragments are more expensive than the other ones. You can sell full set of Elder fragments for half an exalt, and full set of Cyrus and Shaper fragments, both of them sell for 0.3x. So they are cheaper, but still, this is just personally for me just not enjoyable. Just having to wait. It kind of reminds me of Heist, where you just have to wait for the doors to open. There's nothing happening. So yeah, definitely not nice to do them. And as you can see here, I did drop decent amount of Elder items, and again I could sell them to a vendor full set for 4 exalted shards. And now the last one, which is Conqueror. So these ones, in my opinion, were the most enjoyable to do, because you can choose the very small layouts. Like for example, I am about to do the beach, and let's do the essence. And in terms of bosses, you also don't have to... Damn, I wish I took the Remnants of Corruption. I actually found decent amount of essences, purple essences to corrupt in these maps. But it's whatever. But yeah, also bosses don't take as much time to kill. So there's only a little bit of time to wait at the beginning, and boss is basically dead. So now let me show you the invitations. Also, in terms of invitations, you can corrupt them, because if you are corrupting them, you actually can't reduce the quantity. So this one increased the quantity, this one got unidentified, which is kind of whatever, and this one also got unidentified. You actually can't reduce the quantity when you are corrupting them. So it is safe to do that, and yeah, this way you can get more loot. So this one is the Shaper Guardians, and it's done. In terms of doing them and like failing, I actually completed all of the invitations, and I only failed one Elder Slayer, because that one actually rolled crazy modifiers. I actually had reduced damage from crits. Monsters had extra 70% more life, which again, it's duplicated by Height of Hubris. 50% life as extra energy shield, reduce effect of auras, which reduces my damage because of hatred and precision. So yeah, I actually did fail that. I actually almost completed it, but yeah. I did all of the invitations successfully, except for one Elder Slayer. So yeah, as you can see, this one time I got 9, in previous one I got full set. So yeah, with 73% plus, you're always gonna get at least 9 splinters. And let's go with the last one, which is again the most dangerous one. Most of the time at least. This one has a pretty easy mod, so it shouldn't be that hard. And it's done. Another full Maven rate. Some cards. And again, the annoying part about this one, the only one annoying thing is that you're dropping a lot of different types of influence items, so yeah, doing Exalted Shard recipe can be pretty annoying. And I don't remember if I mentioned it, but in this test I did 20 sets. So 80 of each type of Garden maps, and after that I did 20 invitations. Okay, so now let's look at the loot. So first one is Shaper. So here are all of the fragments. So 37 full sets and a little bit of extra additional fragments. 18 full Maven reads, quite a lot of Guardian maps, and 10 Orbs of Conflict and 41 Orbs of Unmaking. And I did get 4 full sets of items to sell to a vendor for Exalted Shards, the influence ones. So in terms of the Shaper, I actually believe I got the luckiest in terms of these 3 tests, because when I was corrupting maps, I actually got a lot of 110% plus quantity on invitations, and because of that I did drop actually 19 Maven Writs and 10 Orbs of Conflicts and quite a lot of sets. When we compare it to the Elder, as you can see, I did get a little bit less sets, 1 less Maven Writ, only 18, and less Orbs of Unmaking and Orbs of Conflict. So yeah, in terms of the quantity on invitations, I got more lucky here, and I also got more lucky with the amount of Garden maps I got. But here I got unlucky with the amount of Exalted Shards. I only got 4 sets, and in Elder one I did get almost, actually more than double the amount of the recipe sets. So yeah, in this set unfortunately I also didn't get that many Garden maps. In terms of Conquerors, as you can see, quite a lot of Garden maps, and also 4 Cortexes, and that's because when you are killing these Guardians, there is a chance to get the Cortex map, Cortex divination card, and this actually increases the profit from these maps by quite a lot. But again, like I mentioned earlier, I only got 24 sets, and Shaper and Elder I got like 34, 37, so yeah, less sets, and also these are only 0.3x, Shaper also 0.3x, and Elder are 0.5, so yeah, these are the most expensive ones. But these ones definitely give quite a lot of different loot. There's also the Delirium Orb Divination card, which I got full set and almost full second one, and there's also Synthesis map Divination card, which gave me decent amount of Synthesis maps. And also here is additional loot. In terms of the additional loot, so like essences and scarabs from the strongboxes, the most amount of them I got from Shaper, because again they are pretty long, so I was running them fully and I just found the most amount of essences. The Elder and Conqueror maps were pretty short, so a lot of essences I would just not notice, and strongboxes I would just skip them. In terms of the influence items, actually some of them can be worth something. So for example, this pair of boots looks like it's like 30-40C, and from the Shaper I got 1 opal ring, which is like 70-60C, but the things that are in the corners I basically did not include in the test results. So these invitations, a lucky exalt that I dropped, the influence items here, like 1 Awakened gem. Actually, this I should probably include. And in terms of Conqueror, I also did not include all of the shards, because to be honest, like here I can show you how many of the sets I got, but I just was too lazy to pick up additional items when I was doing Conqueror ones, because again you just have to loot so many of them, and I just didn't want to waste my space for 4 different types of influences. So yeah, these things are not included in the test results. These splinters, these items, so also shards from the recipe, these items and these items. So yeah, these are basically the results, and here are all of the like extra currency and stuff that I draw from the maps, which I also didn't include in the final results. Okay, so now let me show you the spreadsheet. So let's start with the Shaper one. So again, I did 80 maps. I was, well, technically buying them for 22 each, but I actually just had them myself. But I still counted the investment. 20 invitations, I had to buy them for 50C each. I was just buying them on trade. And I don't exactly know how much I spent on rerolling the maps and horizon orbing them, but I just added additional 100C for that. It took me 2 hours to do the Shaper ones, and here you can just read all of loot breakdown, and here how many of each things I got. So 162 fragments, 19 Maven writs, and so on. And yeah, again, this one was pretty lucky in my opinion. I think it should be more like maybe 9x, maybe 8.5. But yeah, I got a little bit more than I should have because I got lucky with the corruptions. Now let's look at the Elder one. So Elder, the investment was the same. Fragments are much more expensive, so 3.3k from fragments. Here it was only 2000, but even though fragments were more expensive, X per hour was lower, and that's simply because of the time. Like I mentioned, the Elder Guardian maps, Elder Guardians take just much longer time to kill because of their intermissions. So yeah, it took me pretty much additional hour to do them. And now let's look at the Conqueror. So Conqueror definitely had a lot of additional loot in form of cortexes from the divination cards, synthesis maps, so decent amount of money from Guardian maps. I think actually, yes, the most amount of money from Guardian maps I made from the Conqueror, but the fragments were the cheapest, so 1.5k, here was 2k, here was 3.4. So yeah, I definitely didn't make as much from the fragments, but all of the other loots like Delirium Orbs, Exalted Conqueror Exalted Orbs, Cortexes definitely made up for it. And as you can see here, at the time it took me 1 hour and 40 minutes to do this test, so it was the shortest amount of time. And mostly because of the time, it actually was 14x per hour, even though investment was higher, 36c per map. But actually invitations are a bit cheaper, so only 30c. So yeah, it looks like the Conquerors are the best one. Shaper and Elder are probably similar, to be honest. It's just Shaper was a bit lucky. Elder is probably gonna be better if your build is not as great in terms of single target, because you're not gonna suffer as much from the intermissions compared to just having normal low DPS on during the Shaper Guardians. But when you look at the just amount of exalts in total, here I made 19, here I made 22, and here I made 23. So it's actually almost the same amount of exalts. I guess Shaper was a little bit less, but yeah, the biggest difference is just amount of time it takes. So yeah, depending on your build, how fast can you do these maps, results might be different. But for me personally, if I did this in the future, Conqueror ones would be definitely the best ones. And on top of that, they are probably the most enjoyable. And even I made this amount of money even though I actually did fail one of them. But again, they are probably the most difficult ones, at least the invitations. Bosses themselves are not that hard, but the invitation, the Elder Slayer, can be actually very hard if you hit some hard modifiers. So yeah, we started with boss rushing, now we did invitations, so it only leaves with one more thing to do. Like with my previous test, I wasn't sure if I'm gonna be able to set up Guardian maps, so I then ended up running them. Here, I'm actually not so sure how it is with selling these fragments, but what I'm gonna do is probably I'm just gonna run them and do some additional tests. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one though, and see you in the next one.